True revival of ancient native cultures will only come when Native Americans embrace the sacred power of plant medicines once more. Welcome to the channel. Hi, I'm Trevor if you haven't joined me before. So some exciting news. The Native American culture is going through a revival and it will be revived. No other cultures of ancient times can be brought back to life. So let us look at how this is going to happen. Rediscovering of what was once lost. For thousands of years, Native American tribes used plants, herbs, and other elements to enter the spirit world. These rituals were deeply spiritual, and plants were believed to contain sacred spirits that connected the indigenous to the divine and spirit world. So in ancient times, the shamans of old walked the red road, and this red road was the red path that led to the rising sun and the early dawns of the first awakening of humanity. And there in the early dawn was the early light, Venus, and the sovereign plumed serpent. Consuming plants, the skilled shaman would enter into a trance-like state or higher state of consciousness, where they were able to communicate with the spirit world and their ancestors, the grandfathers and grandmothers, to seek healing, protection, guidance, and wisdom during their otherworldly journey. The shaman played a central role in the tribe. He was the facilitator, the medium, the channel, and of course, the opener of the portals of light. Most shamans were natural-born clairvoyants and were able to shapeshift. Sacred religious ceremonies were held all over the Americas, and today we're looking here mostly at the Great Plains. On one of my initiations, I was taken into the ancient world and shown exactly what the Native Americans were doing, but not only in America, all over the ancient world. As the higher beings plugged me into the Akashic records, I moved over the Great Plains of America, and there I could see clearly. So in my initiation, as I moved over the Great Plains, I was taken to teepees, and there under the teepees, the shaman was conducting sacred ceremonies with the tribes around the fireplace, all those that entered the sacred portals of light. And as I was taken further, I was taken up to some beautiful places where the Native Americans had kivas. And these kivas were partly structures that were underground and were enclosed on the top. And they were holding these sacred ceremonies within these places. And as I moved further to the beautiful red cliffs of the canyon lands, there were many tribes with huge fires against the cliffs, illuminating the cliffs. Everything was bright red, and there the red path matrix opened, and all the tribe's members were plugged into the matrix of the divine, was taken high up into the mountains and on the buttes of canyon lands. And there were sacred stone structures used as temples for the ancient Native Americans, where they ceremonied at these specific times. Also along the cliff faces, we had the alcoves. Some of the alcoves were suitable for ceremonies. Most of them were used for granaries, for storing food, keeping it safe, and having a fireplace where they were able to make food during the cold seasons. As the ancient ones took me around the ancient world in my initiation, they showed me Native Americans ceremonying in so many different places, and especially in sacred places. Then I was taken to the sweat lodges, and there the Native Americans were burning sacred smoke for purification and protection. And they were consuming certain plants such as peyote. And we must know that they didn't only consume peyote, there were many other plants that could take them into the spirit world. So when consuming these cacti, the plants want something hot. So the perfect setting for peyote would be a sweat lodge. And that would allow the medicine really to work. And it's in that sweat lodge that one was able to receive visions or go on spiritual journeys. And as I said, peyote ceremonies were fairly common because this was the little cacti that was growing in the area. So obviously the Native Americans used what they could get. And then we also had tobacco offerings and the tobacco ceremonies of the four corners and of the four directions and of the five elements. And these ceremonies are still taking place today and are going to take off even further into the future. And then the sun dance. Who can forget the native Indian sun dance? More importantly, the sun initiation. This sun initiation was an initiation that took place all over the world. The Aztec, Inca and Maya were adepts at the sun initiation and the heart initiations. And these plants would allow them the sun initiation, where they would allow that sun of the sun god to penetrate their consciousness, their aura and their entire matrix. Once the ceremony was over, the native Indians continued sitting on this rock in the afternoon sun to feel that power of the other world that they had just been in contact with. The Native Americans used many plants, and we think of the Osha root, or known as the bear root. This was to ward off evil and to protect one in one's journeys. And then we come to ayahuasca. How did the Native Americans get ayahuasca if they were in the Great Plains when ayahuasca comes from the Amazon? Well, quite simple. They had the Sonoran desert toad, also known as the Colorado desert toad. So this toad, when it's threatened, it secretes a poison, and this poison contains ayahuasca, except it's not a normal ayahuasca. It's probably 1,000 times stronger than ayahuasca. So imagine that. How did the ancient Native Americans know that this frog had the serum that could take them into the other world? And also a word of caution, this shouldn't be experimented with. It should only be used through a proper facilitator or shaman. And let's also not forget the vision quest and the rite of passage. So particularly the vision quest, where one would go on one's own up into the mountains or in the ravines, or finding a quiet sacred place, consuming plant medicines and meditating and finding oneself, going deep within. And that's really what the plant medicine does. It takes one within, just as meditation does. So sitting in this quiet place, connecting to one's spirit guardians and the higher beings, one was able to receive guidance not only in visions but intuitively. And this is what Native Americans did often. They weren't shy to use their plant medicines, for they knew the truth. And yes, many people ask, what about mushrooms? Of course they use mushrooms. So we must remember, wherever tribes were around the ancient world, whatever plant medicine you could get from your environment, that's the medicine you used. So they were able to use mushrooms. And remember, the Red Road led all the way to Mexico. Everything was connected. And there was a route from Mexico all the way into the heart of America, where they would trade plant medicine. The shamans and plants played a pivotal role in the Native American ceremonies that aimed to transcend the physical world and access the spiritual realms. These plants were considered sacred gifts from nature, each plant carrying its own specific magnetism, making them essential to the Native American spirituality and religious practices. So we see that the Native American shaman is going to have his work cut out for him, for it will be his job to break all the tribe members through the matrix into a higher state of consciousness. And this is going to happen. It's already taking place, where they're consuming peyote legally. Only when Native Americans reconnect with the sacred power of plant medicines will their ancient cultures and spiritual traditions truly be reborn. Join me on this journey of what was once lost. We are going to rediscover this, and we'll also be taking a look at the Red Road, less traveled to Mexico, and shapeshifting. How the shaman and other tribes members were able to shapeshift. Don't forget to like and subscribe.